Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting date were posted online, published in the Hunterdon County Democrat and the Eastern Express Times on July 23rd, 2020, and posted on the door at Borough Hall. Action may now be taken. Please join me in the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
Hughes.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Strange.
Here.
Zappa.
Oh,
He was here.
he was
Zappa.
here.
Did we lose him? Hold on one second. Make sure he's not on the other list. Okay. And Lee.
Here.
Not there. No, I don't see him.
He was here, so. Okay. Motion to dispense with the reading of the July 16th, 2020 regular minutes.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Ferry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa. Okay.
Motion to approve the July 16th, 2020 regular minutes.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Ferry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Zappa's back on, but he's muted.
One moment.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so before we get started tonight, as been the custom this year, I'm going to start with a couple of announcements. One, on a sad note, I'm sorry to report that Highbridge lost one of our longest-term residents in the borough, Mrs. Doris M. Schutz of Highbridge, passed away this past Sunday, August 9th, just shy of her 99th birthday. Mrs. Schutz was a member of the Highbridge Reformed Church for over 80 years. She served as an elder and on the consistory. She was also a member of the Order of the Eastern Star Hobart chapter here in Highbridge, where she served for 68 years. I was lucky enough to meet Mrs. Schutz and her son Alan on the campaign trail. We honored her with the Highbridge Longevity Award last year. So again, her survivors include her son Alan and his wife Eileen, both of Highbridge, 6 grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, and one great-grandchild on the way. Our condolences on behalf of all of them to Alan and the rest of the family, and if I can ask everyone for a brief moment of silence at this time. Thank you. And another note, before we start our regular meeting tonight, I did prepare a statement that I'd like to read to everybody. It's pretty important. Over the last 5 months, our borough administration has been extremely busy. First, with the COVID pandemic, the closing of the schools, parks, and municipal buildings, the subsequent reopening plans and overcrowding in our parks, and most recently, Hurricane Isaias and its aftermath. The toughest issue we have faced, and one that we must work together to resolve, is systemic racism. Several events that unfolded here in Highbridge over the last 8 weeks, including a peaceful march organized by local high school students and the sharp increase in tourism to Lake Solitude, have exemplified that we are not immune to racial bias and intolerance. Hateful and racist posts and comments on several community Facebook pages and during our last council meeting were visible for everyone to see, including our children and our minority friends and neighbors, and even drew the attention of several news organizations. It is now an unfortunate fact that the racist views of a few spoke the loudest and are now part of our permanent public record. This has been an extremely painful experience for me as mayor and as a mother. Growing up, we learned that sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words will never hurt us. And we all know that this is simply not true. Words do hurt, and the wounds can be deep and often leave scars that last forever. My heart goes out to our minority population who were undoubtedly hurt by these hateful exchanges and may even have felt abandoned by those of us who stayed silent. As such, I believe this is an important time to speak up about racism. Calling it out is an important step towards healing. I unequivocally denounce racism and intolerance. As mayor, I want to ensure that everyone, residents and visitors alike, feel welcome and that their voices are heard and that their children are safe. Today, I'm announcing a new ad hoc committee on diversity and inclusion in the borough. This committee will include myself, members of council and the school board, borough employees, and members of the community. The focus of this group will be to develop plans of action to ensure that Highbridge embodies diversity, equality, inclusion, and justice. We will also meet with residents to expand the dialogue so we may have a better understanding of the issues and develop concrete action plans. I want Highbridge residents to feel comfortable and safe in expressing themselves and their concerns as we collaborate to achieve meaningful solutions. Our diversity is what makes us stronger as a community and as a society. Embracing our differences means we stay true to one of our most core values: respect. Respect for ourselves and respect for others. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I am committed to being part of the long-term solution. I am hopeful that each and every resident will work with me and with each other, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, or a political affiliation, to effect change here in Highbridge. Together, we can be leaders by example to the neighboring communities in Hunterdon County and throughout the state. Thank you. On to public comments. It is the policy of the Borough Council that all public comments on an issue shall be limited to 5 minutes per person, and no person may make more than one comment per subject. Comments may be made on any subject pertaining to borough issues. Comments pertaining to public hearings should be saved to that section of the agenda. No debating between residents. Comments should be addressed to mayor and council at the public microphone.
Okay. Please state your name and then you're good to go.
It's a nice picture. I feel like I'm looking at the Brady Bunch, but that's another story. I had a question. I wrote to you, Mayor, in regards to the end of West Main Street. There is overgrowth on both sides of the road when it goes to Krieger, both on the golf course side and also on New Jersey Transit side. You cannot see. You have to kind of pull out from there, which makes it a safety issue. And I want to know, is there any way for that growth to be cut back a bit on each side? So, because I almost got hit going out one day, and I'm just very concerned about that.
Chris, do you have any information on that? I feel like that is on a list of DPW somewhere, but I'm not familiar.
I will bring it up with Rick directly, and I'm sure he has it on his list, but we'll see if we can get it pushed closer to the top.
Thank you. And Mayor, I really appreciated what you said. Coming as an educator and now a retired educator, it's for me, hearing that coming from a mayor of a town speaks volumes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary. Adam's on mute.
Well, by the end of it, I guess we'll have all the attendees over in the panelist panel somehow. I'll figure out how we can address that later, but let's see here. Karen, go.
Hi, am I unmuted?
Yes, you're good to go, Karen.
Hi, first, Mayor Lee, thank you for what you said. I would like to join your ad hoc committee.
Great, Karen, thank you.
Excellent. Second, I just have a question about, I had it up on my phone, hold on. Can't see it. About the resolution 186-2020 salaries and wages. There's a lot of positions there. Do we really employ that many human beings?
Yes, we do.
There's people that hold more than one position as well. So
There's not a single new hire on that list, unfortunately.
It's well, like, cause like, I don't know, like the utility collector, is that a separate human being or is that rolled into someone else's job?
that's rolled into someone else's job.
And the right to know coordinator and the recycling coordinator.
Yep.
So we pay them extra to do that?
It's just part of their job. So government payroll is much different than corporate payroll, where you get different salaries for different positions you take on.
Oh, okay.
Like, same as Karen. So if you were, going to take on an extra, field trip coordinator position in the school, you would get some form of income for that. The same concept.
Okay. Just seemed like okay. I got it. Thank you.
Anybody else? 5 whole minutes. 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to begin unmuting the call-in callers. Last 4 digits, 8821. Do you have anything for public comments? Nope. Okay. Last 4 digits, 2464.
Do that again, Adam, because you froze for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was asking you if last 4 digits of the phone number 2464 would like any time in public comments.
No.
Okay. 4809. Last 4 digits 4809. Any public comments? Okay. Last 4 digits 6564.
No.
Okay. I see Pablo Delgado.
Hello.
Hey, Pablo.
Pablo. Hello.
You're good to go.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to catch up. I want to take this opportunity to thank Major Lee and the rest of the council, really with a statement and this move in terms of taking initiative towards addressing some of the issues that have unearthed over the last few weeks. I would like to say just some words in regards to my involvement in the community over the last 10 plus years that I live in this town, that I could attest, at least for the people that I've come across, that certainly those feelings are probably really in the minority of people in town. And unfortunately, as you said, their voice carried further than the rest of us here. So I'm glad that you're taking the initiative to really raise awareness about the true character of this town. And I feel that the last few weeks have been painful in terms of seeing some of the coverage that we've gotten, and I think it's in part by these folks that really have not collaborated to allow the good things that have happened in town, and have become more boisterous now that we're going through these challenges ahead. So wanted to again express my appreciation for your leadership and that of council for managing the situation as best you could. And I also like to offer myself to participate in that council if possible of diversity. I've been involved in the community for many years now in many aspects, and I think this is definitely an area too that I would like to collaborate and help raise awareness for the rest of the community. Really, truly love this town, and I think that I like to continue to give my time and effort to ensuring that the signature that we have, not just within the county, but abroad, because now we have coverage nationally, really, with some of the paper articles that were put out there that, in fact, really show the true character of this town, which I really believe is exemplary in terms of the volunteerism that I see around here, that people's willingness to come together and really do the right thing for the town and others really gets lost in this noise. So I'm glad that we're taking steps forward to clarify that.
Pablo, thank you for your comments. I couldn't agree more. It's time. We need to be the loudest people in the room at this point, and let's get to work.
I have Monica Frank.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know if this was the right time to bring up, when you said public question or comments, I didn't know if it was about just the statement you read, or is this open for any subject?
Any subject.
Okay, all right. I don't think there's anybody that I know in this town that would disagree with what you said about wanting to be welcoming to all people. I feel a little bit upset about the fact that somehow it seemed that those of us residents that were upset at how the environment was being treated, it somehow got mixed in with the other issue. And I'm still very concerned about how to move forward and get the message out that the lake and the falls should be treated with respect and people shouldn't leave their trash behind. And I think that's highly important as well. That's really all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Monica. I think we'll address that later during the meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, Mayor, I think we're good.
All right.
Oh, wait. I see one more pop up here. Mike Heon.
That's me, Michael Heon, 14 Stillwell Road. Can you hear me?
Yep. You're good to go.
Hi, I'm looking at the agenda and I'm not quite understanding how it works. There appears that there's going to be a change in the ordinances for dealing with parks and recreation. I think it was items 1 through 9. And I'm not sure, do we get to hear what you're going to do and then make comment, or do we make comment now?
You will have an opportunity for public comment during the Parks and Rec ordinance, which is open for public hearing, as well as the noise and vehicles and traffic, which all pretty much pertain to the same issue.
All right, I just didn't want to use up my time asking if I could hear first and then comment.
Well, you'll hear from us later, but you certainly have 5 minutes right now to comment.
All right, I guess one of the things that I'm trying to find on is I believe I had asked Adam for through the Oprah for the original OSRP, and for some reason it can't be found. This document would be needed in order to generate the current OSRP dated sometime in March. And I mean, I'm trying to ask folks to find it. I have concerns about what's going on at Lake Solitude problem, and it's something where I believe that we're all being misled just a little bit. It has to do with at one time, the mayor, you said you would have to close all the parks if we closed Lake Solitude. That turned out not to be true. You also had mentioned that you had brought in porta potties, and porta potties were $100 a month. And as it turned out, there were 2 of them, and the cost of these porta potties were well over $400 for the 2 weeks that you had them. There was a little bit of misleading to the porta potty company, they said that you would need over 10 of these things to accommodate the folks at the falls. And you know, the thing is we brought porta potties in, and it still did not resolve the issue of what was going on at Lake Solitude. We're being misled a little bit about this being tourism, and the folks that are coming here, they're not tourists. They bring their own food, they bring their own toilet paper, they bring their own alcohol. They come and then they leave. The only street in Highbridge that has parking on the weekends is downtown Main Street. They're not shopping at our shops, and I just feel we're being misled that this is somehow good for Highbridge, and the fact is it just isn't. These are really not tourists that are coming here. Unfortunately, this is a destructive force that has been created by the COVID virus and causing closures in all other parks. And the only ones that are fronting the burden of all of this are those parks with water that are still open, which we have fortunately closed. We're looking at some of the agencies that we have been reaching out to, and no one understands how we are going to be able to continue to allow what's happening at the falls as well as some of the other waterways around Highbridge. And none of these agencies they're saying, you guys are breaking all of our rules. The DEP says no swimming. Green Acres also says no swimming in the passive parks. Green Acres also says you can't destroy the Tisco building grounds by just accommodating this destructive force and giving them a place to park. Fish and Wildlife, they're telling us you cannot destroy the riverbeds. All of this stuff just doesn't make sense. And what I'm looking at is, the mayor's office and council, you're disregarding your own rules. Number 23 in parks and playgrounds says no swimming on undesignated areas. And, I'm trying to understand that, because some of the residents may have snuck in and had their kids in the water, that doesn't mean that we have to allow this destructive force to be in the water. Number 28 says you cannot enter upon Lake Solitude spillway. Those enter upon were words that were very carefully chosen.
I'm sorry, Mr. Huon, that's 5 minutes.
Okay, well, thank you.
Here. I see Galaxy S9. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
There you go. Okay. Can you please state your name?
And address. 11 Hart Street.
I'm sorry, one more time.
Joshua Genty, 11 Hart Street.
Okay.
In a newsletter I received about 2 years ago stated that Hart Street was going to be repaved along with West Main Street. And I had spoken with the former mayor about it, and he said it was to happen last year. Still hasn't happened, and the potholes here are getting 6 feet long and several inches deep. In order for me to drive up and down my street here, it's like it's almost like a game of Frogger. I have to dodge every pothole there is, otherwise I bottom out.
Do you have any further comments? Josh, I don't want to cut anybody off from their 5 minutes.
No, I'm good. I just need an answer on that.
Yeah, so, I think probably there are several council people that can also address this situation, but the former mayor and his administration did successfully apply for a grant for what's called Safe Routes to School, which is going to repair the roads, including, in your neighborhood, specifically Hart Street. Any kind of government paid for project like this takes quite a bit of time. And, it's unfortunate that I think we all kind of have a misunderstanding of how quickly these things turn around. But when we're going to get free money from the state, it takes a long time. We have selected the engineers. We're ready to get started on that project. But in all reality, it's probably not going to start until next year. So, I don't want to, nobody misled you. It was a promise kept by former Mayor Mark Desire, but it's just not feasibly possible to turn these things quite around. As I mentioned to one of your neighbors recently, once we are ready to start physically working on that project, meaning plans, we're going to make sure that the residents on that street who will be affected will be participating in a town hall type meeting.
The other thing too, I'd like to add is exactly what Mayor Lee had said, but also, the current situation this year really threw a wrench into absolutely everything and put a slowdown on everything. We were hoping to be even a little bit further along with the design phase of it this year, but that's what it is. And as far as West Main Street is concerned, the county will be taking care of paving West Main Street from Route 31 up to Bridge Street, and that'll happen when the county schedules it. That's just really how it happens. I know that one of the things that they were waiting for is for Highbridge to finish our streetscape project, which, looking into my report for tonight, is actually slated to start next week and finish up in the fall. But once that project is done, the county will be able to come through and pave from 513 right up and through Main Street, and we'll have a nice new road there. They're also going to be adding a bike lane or walking lane to West Main Street, just to give us a little bit extra space on the right side from about where Bronski's is up to Hart Street. It's part of that Safe Routes to School initiative, and give a little bit wider area for people to ride bikes and to walk up West Main Street. I hope I wasn't on mute.
No, you're good. Just want to make sure. All right. Okay. Joe Suazo? You there, Joe?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're good to go.
Thank you. I wasn't planning to say anything, but I find that I want to. I wanted to say to Mayor Lee, thank you for your statement. I thought the words were well chosen. I want to say that all of us really, but all of you faced a very difficult, unexpected situation with the Lake Solitude Fall issue. And, it threw everybody a curve. I think ultimately it was handled very well. I appreciate Mayor Lee's statement, and I think it represents a positive response to a very difficult situation. So I wanted to say thank you. I think there are probably lots of people better situated than I am to help with your committee, but if there is something that I can do, I'd be happy to make a contribution.
Thank you, Joe.
My second issue, though, is something that I just wanted to touch base. There's a terrible intersection, as I'm sure all of you are well aware, coming down 513, where the intersection is with Church Street. And if you're coming south on 513, you make a 90-degree turn to the right to stay on it. I know the signage changed a year or so ago, maybe 2 years, I don't know. But I don't know, I feel like it's a Disney death ride coming down 513 a lot of mornings, like around commuting time especially, people blow through that yield sign and they see the yield sign and I don't know what they're thinking, but they blow through it. This week, I had a near-death experience, and I know it's an issue you're probably dealing with, but I tried to get people's attention on this a couple of years ago. I called the county, I called the local folks, the local cops. I was told that it was getting worked on. I'm really scared about that intersection. Something terrible is going to happen. And I'm just wondering what is being done about it. And I know you may not be able to respond at the moment, but I would like to know. And if there's something I can do, I'd be happy to try and be part of the solution. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Just real quick. Everyone knows about that intersection. That was one of my first priorities when I became mayor, and it's just incredibly frustrating because it seems like a no-brainer to fix. The county disagrees with our assessment that it's a dangerous intersection, and they're the ones that have to determine what kind of signs and lights or what have you get put there. So we continue to fight with them. I know Councilman Strange and Chief Bartman and I came pretty close to coming up with the solution, but it kind of fell off since then. We'll see what we can do to pick that back up.
Is there something I can do? Somebody I can call outside of council?
You want to pretend you are representing us in a legal case?
Well,
I know Joey's a lawyer. That's why I say that.
I mean, it's a county road. And so, I mean, I would imagine that any resident who has concerns about it could approach the county directly and say, hey, I don't like this county road. That's what we say to them, but they just disagree with us.
Right.
All right. Well, I'm just for feedback. I'm going to make that call again. I'll keep you posted on whatever little bit I can do, but I just think there's going to be a terrible tragedy one of these days.
Thanks.
I will say that I had my first accident where I've ever hit another car in my life at that intersection. I backed up into my wife's car, and it was not the best first accident, but I agree. It's a terrible intersection, and I wish we could eventually get it fixed.
Thanks for your help.
Good. We have John Mosque. Can you hear us, John?
Unmuted.
He looks muted.
Yeah, it gives me the option to ask him to unmute, and then he has to, I think, unmute. Does that work, John?
Hitting unmute.
There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
You hear us, John?
This is James Quayon's wife.
Oh, hello.
No.
You're on.
Your name
and address, please.
Wake up. What do we do?
I think you have a bad connection. We're really not hearing it much. All right, I think.
John, you want to try back for the later part of the meeting or in a few minutes?
Yeah, you can also try the call-in option if you'd like. All right. Let's go to Linda Lucas. You there, Linda?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello, Linda. You're on.
Hi. Thanks, guys. I just wanted to say I've been involved with picking up the garbage for years and years and years, and I just wanted to say how upset I am about the people that are visiting our area that are disrespecting our streams, our rivers, our falls, our trees, not going to the bathroom in the right porta johns. It's extremely upsetting to me. I picked up many, many bags. That is very upsetting. And the other thing I want to say is I have an idea for the tourism of our town. I think we need to work on the commons, have a map of downtown Highbridge and what the businesses can offer. I think maybe turning our Columbia Trail into a virtual trail where families go down the trail and maybe have, if they take pictures of a certain area and they can get coupons to visit our businesses, something to that effect, like a scavenger hunt with kids on their bikes. They all like to take pictures of maybe a mile marker, or maybe the town can set up, I know it's probably not our property, but it's something set up that the kids can look for and take pictures of, and we can turn them into redeemable coupons in town and set up bike racks in different locations where people can go down Main Street, park their bikes, visit our restaurants. And that was my idea. So that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Linda. So I just want to point out that there's a number of those ideas that the Highbridge Environmental Commission is currently working on. So we're happy. I have your email. We're happy to include you in some of those conversations. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
EDC is also working a little bit with something similar as well.
Yeah, and there's actually a number of brochures around that have maps of the things downtown to try to draw people to town off of the Columbia Trail and other places. So we are trying in a few ways, and those are good ideas.
I think a flat map in the Commons area, a flat map that stands by itself, that people look at maybe because they have to stop and cross the street, like stop there and you look at a map and you say, oh, this is where I can get tea, this is where I can get beer.
Right. Yeah, that one's been updated because that used to be a different map, and just recently it was updated. It looks very nice.
Okay. No, I haven't been there. All right. And I hope the garbage issue will be addressed. There's a lot of volunteers going down to pick up the garbage at different locations, and if we quit doing it, it's going to be a terrible, awful.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have Dan Sova.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, Dan, you're on.
Hi, Dan Sova. I'm at 112 West Main. At the last meeting, I'd asked briefly about the property at Exact Tool, and I believe that you said that it was sold. I was just wondering if we could expand upon that a little bit more. Who bought it, and what's going to happen at that property? What kind of time frame, and what impact will that have on some of the other, just a couple houses and businesses on that same block? Thank you.
Dan, I never said it was sold. It's not sold. I wish it was. They've been, I'd like to say they've been close to coming to a selling agreement, but in reality, they're not. The current owners are just, hesitant to let go of this property. So, it's still on the table. It's something that, Councilman Zappa, Bonnie Fleming, and I, Barry's off. I mean, we're talking about it every day, and it's just incredibly frustrating. I wish it was sold. Still working on it. Keep asking.
Okay, maybe you said it was close to being sold last time. I assumed.
It was up this week.
Like they were going to close.
Okay.
I wish next time I'm just going to keep my mouth shut over something like that. I'm overly optimistic, but we're going to stay on this situation. I promise you that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Try Mr. Moskoway again?
Yep. Okay, John, hit the allow to talk. Should give you the option.
It shows unmuted.
Did that work, John? Can you hear us? Can you hear us, John? I don't hear anything. All right, I think it's maybe technical issues.
Yeah.
Maybe the second round of comments. Oh, and popped off.
Okay, I think with that, we are through public comments, Mayor.
Okay. On to public hearings. Ordinance 2020-035, amend Chapter 261, Parks and Playgrounds. Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Second?
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I think everyone knows we've been working on this Parks and Rec ordinance. We have made a number of adjustments that I think are, address a number, the problems that we have realized over the last month or so that weren't there 3 months ago that now we see that we need to address. I think we have that in the new ordinance. Steve, do you want to say anything to that?
I mean, I would just want to point out that I think that this ordinance is a little confusing, and one of the people had kind of responded to that. We introduced it and approved it last time, but at the same time, we also introduced an amendment to it because we're trying to update and deal with this recent situation. And so we've clarified language regarding where you're allowed to picnic and the language regarding accessing the spillway, just to have it be more up to date with what's been going on. And so this is simply more tweaking of that, as you said, the ordinance we've been working on now for quite some time. And we may need to continue. Who knows?
Anybody else from council have anything to add to that? I'm going to open it up for the people that are on the call that are probably looking to hear something additional on this. No? Anyone on the call tonight?
All right, so I'm going to unmute the phones first here. Anybody else can raise their hands and we'll take it. All right, all the phones are open. Anybody on the phones?
Someone was saying something. 8821 maybe?
Yeah, now we hear everybody, Adam. So can we maybe just, I don't know.
All right, 2464, anything on these comments? Okay. 4809, any comments on this? Okay. 6564.
No.
Okay. 8821.
No.
Okay, I think that's our callers. We're going to take Mary Murdoch.
Is that me?
Hi.
Hi, Mary.
Hi. What exactly are you planning on doing? Because you said you made changes and it's not written in the agenda itself. So could you be more specific?
Okay. So let's see here. It currently, of course, it's a big, long ordinance with a lot of numbers, but we've added specifically smoking, or we've defined new disorderly conduct items. I guess would be a way to say it. We've added new items that fall under disorderly conduct and are not allowed on parks and playgrounds, and we've clarified a few. So I believe the smoke as defined by New Jersey 26 3D-57 in and around Lake Solitude Dam, we've specified that. We've put in, I believe we've added the sealed or unsealed to alcoholic beverages. Possess or transport glass containers was not there previously in those words.
No coolers, no tents, no going to the bathroom outside of the facility.
Yeah, defecate and urinate, I think we're not specified in this ordinance. I'm trying to find it. On the auxiliary spillway, no, that's not the one. The number 24 it used to say no jumping from or swimming or for the Lake Solitude spillway, which is basically what people think of as the top of the dam.
Right.
We added language to specify you're not allowed to be there either. I think in the past, the concern when this ordinance was originally made many years ago was people jumping off of it. We want to specify, no, we're not just doing jumping. We don't want you on it. So we changed the language to make that very clear. There was the swimming was already there. Jumping from the dam was already there. Fire or open grill, I'm pretty sure was already there, but I think we may have added the words open grill.
So Mary, just to keep it kind of simple, we eliminated anything that we saw happening over the last 8 weeks. Specifically 4th of July weekend, where people were sitting and, picnicking in the water, hanging out in the actual waterfall area, bringing in coolers, smoking, drinking. I mean, none of that stuff is permitted. In reality, it really never was. But we needed to really pin this down as in the ordinance so that we made sure that we can get the proper signage so that we make sure we get enforced.
Well, I think an example is it used to say prepare a fire outside the designated area or leave the fire unextinguished.
Grilling. If you look at the actual ordinance, which is part of the supporting documents on the Highbridge website, you'll see everything. I don't think there's anything that any current residents would disagree with.
Okay. I do have a follow-up question with this. Is when you had it in. When I was reading online about it, it was people were not allowed access to the waterways in Highbridge itself, meaning the archway tunnel and everything. And a week later, I saw kids still jumping off the tunnel.
It's not Highbridge, though, Mary. That's actually county and New Jersey Transit property. That where everyone jumps off, Highbridge has no authority on that section of the water. Believe it or not.
Well, I believe it. I wasn't sure, and that's why I was asking the question.
And honestly, when we're saying we're restricting the waterways, that's really just part of this administrative emergency order as part of, the overall health crisis that we're in. That's not part of the ordinance.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I'm done.
Okay. I will say also that we are limited in what we can do specifically in accessing waterways. In the United States, waterways are considered public rights of way. And so we don't have the authority to block downstream traffic. And so you begin to have some gray areas as to whether or not we can actually stop people from using a right of way, which is basically like a road that comes from one town and continues on through our town and goes elsewhere. So, we're talking about jumping into that off of our land and you're not allowed to do that. And we have the authority to make those decisions. And we're trying to do our best to address what we can clearly and have the full authority to do, which isn't everything.
Yeah, and just to take that one step further, I don't want to beat this horse to death, but I've heard this comment before. This was really restricting the waterways the way we did was an effort to make sure we could keep the other parks in the borough open, because there's an area off of Union Forge that people could access, that the fire department relies on. It's very important, and we just had this foresight that people would just want to just go move the picnic down there. So really just an effort to try to do what we could to address the current situation, not any real kind of long-term plan.
Right. This is a temporary situation.
Like Steve says, we can't, people want to go on the water. We can't really restrict the water.
All right. Michael Heon?
Hi. I guess my question is just briefly, is number 28 still intact?
Let me check. I've got it right here. 28, enter upon Lake Solitude Dam Historic Spillway. That has been moved to 24, climbing, jumping from, or otherwise entering upon Lake Solitude Dam Historic Spillway or other structures. So,
okay. Is the verbiage enter upon Lake Solitude spillway still intact?
Historic, yes.
Yes.
Enter upon, because basically those words were very carefully chosen, where you are not allowed to enter or end up upon. You can't go in the water.
You can go in the water.
You cannot. This ordinance says you may not enter upon. Look it up, Mayor. You cannot enter to become involved in. Letting folks swim at this park is going to destroy it.
But that's a separate issue. Swimming is a separate issue as well.
Well, you also have number 23 that says no swimming in undesignated areas. This is not a designated area.
Right.
So there's a difference between swimming and wading. If we eliminate swimming, you're under the water at the lake. Wading, putting your feet in, fishing is totally allowed.
Who's fishing, Mayor? If the fishermen start wearing bathing suits, then that will be a judgment call. We have a waterway that is, the people are not supposed to be in it because the DEP doesn't want them destroying the riverbed. The DEP says you cannot have people allow swimming unless it's staffed. You can't just, because some of the residents in Highbridge may have snuck their kids in there, you cannot change this. You can keep people out of that water, and without being, with number 23, no swimming, and particularly number 28, you cannot enter a pond. You can't go in the water.
So I'll let Barry speak to the legality of the language, but you're not allowed to enter upon the spillway. If you go down the spillway,
correct. Correct. And the spillway is how long away from the dam?
It's right on the dam.
No.
On the spillway. The spillway is stone. Okay.
Top of the dam.
You can't enter upon the concrete pad that's below the waterfall. You can, as it's written right now, wade and go fishing in the bottom of the falls.
You can go fishing.
Yeah.
Is because that is allowed. But as far as regards to swimming or wading or bathing, they're not allowed in the water.
Well, there is no difference between a fisherman standing in 6 inches of water to fish and another person standing in 6 inches of water just to look at the birds legally. There is no law that allows fishermen and does not allow another person who wants to take pictures of birds if that's what they want to do.
Fine.
And so unfortunately, we can't make that differentiation.
Okay. My first question was, I did actually try and get through the Oprah the original OSRP regarding the open space. What the heck's it called? The Open Space Recreation Plan. Mm-hmm. Does anyone know? And I don't know if Adam, I've been talking to you about it. Where is this document?
I mean, I have the newest one.
No, the newest one doesn't do me any good. You needed the older one, the one that I'm after, in order to generate the new one. I want the old one. So, on that.
I think that's. I was not involved in that, but I would think.
But basically, in order to generate the first one, the new one of, I believe it was March 2020, you would have had to have the old one in your hands in order to generate, to know what you're talking about. Someone had.
I'm not sure there ever was an official open space master plan as part of our.
On your new open space master plan, you clearly say this is the second open space master plan, and then you give a date that it was generated. There is one, and I'm wondering where the heck it might have gone. Maybe because I'm thinking that some of the changes may not be good for us.
So let me just take you through a brief history of the Oprah request. So Mr. Heon and I worked pretty extensively through this Oprah request to try and find, I think, what he was asking us for. And that involved going to employees who have been here for quite some time, as well as Arlene Green, the planner, who basically gave me everything that she had that was as per the request. So I feel that we've done our due diligence. I did even look through the requested minutes from that year in order to assist in attempting to find the document. Leads on it in that time frame were not forthcoming with identifying a document that we could search further for on that request. So I just want to be clear on that.
The document
with the planner stating that she has provided everything that she has, I'm sort of at a loss as to where else to look for any other document, and I have no further lead on where more documents would be at this time. But as I told Mr. Heon, we're keeping our eyes open.
Yeah, so Mr. Heon, I'll add that we got this open space master plan as part of a grant through the Highlands.
I understand.
So I would reach out to them and see if they have something. I mean, I'm not aware of any specific open space master plan prior to the one we had done. Again,
I just went back and checked, and one was created in May of 2001. So that would have been the original one, I guess. I don't think I have seen the original one. The one that we worked on here.
Who was the engineer back then?
What's that?
Who was the engineer on that?
I don't remember the previous engineer. We had
McEldanny?
That yes, McEldanny. Is that it?
That's what I would guess.
Yeah, Clay McEldanny sounds right.
Okay.
Hatchmont McDonald.
Who has since retired, by the way.
Yeah, and that because I think this would have been before Hatchmont McDonald.
That's what I think.
Okay.
So yeah, well, I mean, there was a plan. So I mean, we could. I'll start looking and I'll work with Adam to see if we can find this thing. There's got to be a copy somewhere.
Yeah, and let me look too in my environmental files. I might have an old copy.
That's before my time, but there's.
I might have it.
2004, or 2005, but there's got to be a copy somewhere.
And Mayor, I'd suggest we move on from this Oprah request issue.
Yeah.
Other comments regarding the ordinance?
That's fine. Thanks, Barry. I agree. Let's. Do we have other public comments
regarding the ordinance amendments?
Regarding this ordinance.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Heon. All right. Monica Frank.
Okay, actually, most of my question was answered when you responded to Mary Murdoch, because I was also sitting here thinking to myself, I don't even know what your changes entail, but I was glad to hear about the reinforcement of, the no smoking, the coolers, tents, open containers of alcohol, the spillway issue, because those were, I think, some of the main problematic behaviors, and I hope that some of that will be controlled, though I think we might still have some issues with, you can put ordinances in, but people are still gonna do stuff. But I guess the only other question I had left was, is there any kind of idea as to when the area will be reopened, or is that sort of not been decided yet? And if so, are porta potties going back into the lake area, or what's the plan for that? Because if there are going to be people coming back, we have to handle that again, because otherwise we'll have more people using the woods and people's residences' lawns, unfortunately.
Yes, so we do have it on the agenda tonight to extend the closure of the area for another 30 days. After much discussion between both, the executive committee and the Parks and Rec committee. And, I just don't think that we can pull together all the resources we need to open it safely. That being said, when we do open, we're still kind of somewhat playing it by ear, but it's probably going to be later in the fall. We're going to have porta johns there, because if there is a crowd, we don't need the risk of people not having anywhere to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Karen Gove.
Hi. I read my supporting documents and I thought I was clear on them, but then when we were discussing, you were not me. I wasn't part of it. It was you guys. We're talking about the smoking and alcohol and things like that, that was, somebody had mentioned that it was going to be down by the falls, but I'm assuming that applies to all the parks.
All parks.
All parks.
All the parks. Okay, good, because, the softball fields are pretty bad. So, okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Pablo.
Hello. Thank you, Adam. This is Pablo Delgado, 9 Hickory Circle. Just want to make a few comments about the changes. I think that we clearly are going through a unprecedented time with COVID as well, with some of the events that have happened in the last few weeks there. And I totally understand, trying to make the arrangements to better manage the situation. I just think going forward, just a couple points about as we think about the initial intent of the open space ordinance and just the plans on the master plan there. I think in many ways, the goal was to make sure that the residents in town, as well as people that want to come to our town, have access to these open spaces in a way that is useful. Because I've been here 10 years, and the first 4 or 5 years that I lived here, I recognized that the reason why my taxes were very high was because the town owned half the land that we were living in. And in part, I was part owner of that land, and everything was being done with that land. And I participated in a number of different events with Councilman Hughes, with the cleaning of the river and cleaning of different areas. And that's when I came to realize that all that open space for the many, many years were just hangout for people to go drop garbage and become a litter spot for people that weren't paying attention. And since then, there's been a number of different volunteers that have taken action towards building trails, making those spaces useful. And in many ways, this plan is to continue that progress. And I understand that there's some sensitivity right now with some of the activities that have happened that maybe kind of caught us by surprise. But I just want to be mindful that in the end, we need to find ways to use these spaces in a way that benefits the community the way it was intended. And I know for many reasons, for that reason, we pay the taxes that we paid. So to the extent that we're able to get at least some value out of these pieces, these lands from recreation, enjoyment of wildlife and whatnot, we should continue to keep that in our strategy and not be too reactive about some of the short-term situations that have happened, because I think they truly are short-term. And I hope, knock on wood, that within the next year, we'll be back to a similar scenario as we had over the past few years, where you can still enjoy these places safely and without putting a huge burden on the environment and whatnot. So just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, Pablo, I couldn't agree more with that statement. I said this at the last council meeting. I realized that it was pretty unpopular at the time, but I truly believe this is an opportunity for us as a borough to showcase our natural assets. We weren't expecting it. We weren't prepared for this influx. And honestly, if I could, and if it was feasible and responsible and safe to do so, I would be opening the park right now. But it just doesn't make sense to do that. We're just not prepared. We are in a unique situation, and I'd much rather do that when we have a real plan that's going to work, regardless of how long the COVID-19 situation goes on. But this is something that we're going to be talking, I think, across every single committee that we have on how to make this work. First of all, for the residents. Work for the residents, it's not going to work for anybody, but also for the people that want to come visit us. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I agree. And I would also, I think when I look at ordinances and resolutions, I always try to think of what other impacts will this have. When we considered banning glass containers in the park, I know the first thing people think of is someone walking around with a beer bottle, but I also think in terms of when I brought a small fish tank down to the lake and my kids caught little minnows and put them in so they could see the different kinds of minnows. And technically that's illegal now. That's a glass container that I'm not allowed to bring to the park. And so I try to think of
during a concert at the Commons.
Well, yeah. Exactly. So I try to think of those other things that are affected by this. So one of the amendments we're possibly introducing tonight, or it's on the introduction list, is to not allow coolers in our parks. And the more I think about it and I look long term, I'm beginning to think long term that may be a little too far. I don't know. If someone has ice packs in a cooler because they have a sporting event, not allowed to have it. If someone goes down to have a picnic and would like to keep their food in a cooler on the way there, or a lunch box that's insulated, technically that's a cooler. So we do need to be careful thinking long term, because the point of the parks is to have them be used. And so we're trying to balance those two things as best we can. And yes, we need to look long term. I agree.
I have a question from Chrissy Levajon. You there, Chrissy?
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Hi. Good evening. It's Jake Krieger from Krieger Road. My question is for Mayor Lee and Council. Back in 2002, the borough adopted ordinances making it illegal to swim or wade at the lake or dam. On July 7, 2002, Highbridge police arrested 5 people for swimming at the lake. Nearly 20 summonses were issued that July alone. It was always strictly enforced until now. I would like to know why that is and what we're going to do to start enforcing that again. If you take a look at the Ken Lockwood Gorge, which is, looked after by the DEP, you're not allowed to wade unless fishing. I understand that's a wildlife management area, but shouldn't the same be applied here?
I mean, the swimming is illegal, and
at the lake,
people did it in the past, and I'm
river.
sure people will continue to do it in the future. And people also rob banks. You're not allowed to do that either. But we will continue to try to enforce that as best we can with our police department. In terms of coming up with an ordinance that allows swimming only for someone with a fishing license, I don't know how we would. I guess you'd have to have the police checking fishing licenses, which is typically the park.
Can you guys still hear me?
But
swimming and wading are two totally different things when you're talking about fishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when you have that many people in the river, quote unquote, wading, it's a big environmental impact. And I think Mr. Heon, pretty much said everything that needed to be said.
Yeah, and I would also say that I think we've addressed a lot of the issues that we saw were problematic during those first few weeks of July. So when we reopen the park, it's going to be much different than what everyone saw 4th of July weekend.
And I do appreciate everything that's been done, and I do appreciate that we are extending it another 30 days. But I hope to see the situation turn out for the best, for everybody.
All right. Linda Lucas.
Hi, this is Lisa Tripanera here with Linda Lucas. I guess I am also glad that we are extending it for another 30 days because I know even though we have it under control, there's still people from New York parking on Watergate and up on Church Street and sneaking in, and they're also at Arch Street. And I agree. There's a difference between waiting and in Arch Street, they're laying in the river and they're throwing rocks and whatever. So, and the other thing is, I don't think the Falls was ever a park. I mean, it was a whatever, the Boy Scout campsite years ago. But when did this was just Lake Solitude Falls. Like, we're trying to designate this as a park, and it's really not a park. When a park is something organized, like a county park, a state park, you have to have all the resources. I don't think we should be trying to turn the falls into a park, because the other thing is when we had them parking down at Tisco, we now showed them another way to get in. And we saw a beautiful presentation by someone yesterday about the heritage of all the history of High Bridge and all the Taylor Wharton and everything. And these people from the Heritage Solitude Lake Salt, the Solitude House, they put those beautiful trails in. And now, because of the people and the thing about respect is they're not respecting the land, and you don't get respect unless you give respect. And I think that the residents are the ones that are being hurt here, because now we cannot use our parks because These people have come in and abused our land, and they didn't show respect. It has nothing to do with racism. And I know I think a lot of people are very upset about that it got turned around. Maybe a few people have said a few racist remarks, but the majority of the people are upset that, because you know what's going to happen? Spruce Run and Round Valley, residents do not go there in the summer because people are bussed in from the city. And they're supposed to carry in and carry out, but they don't. So they have park rangers that do that. And we're not going to make any money in town off of these people.
Do you have any comments that pertain particularly to the ordinance?
No, the ordinance.
This section of comments is for comments that pertain to the ordinance.
Oh, okay. Well, are we talking about Lake Solitude later?
You can make comments in the public comment section at the end of the meeting.
All right. Well, I'm not going to repeat myself. It can go toward that, but it's going to turn into where the residents won't want to use any of our parks because we're going to get people coming in from the city, and we're paying the taxes, and we're going to pay to clean it up, and we're not going to be making any money in town. That's all.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm done.
Okay, I see no further hands up.
Can I get a motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2020-035?
Move.
Second.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-035.
Hold on, we need a roll call for the close.
Oh, sorry. Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-035.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, Barry, I always forget this, but we have the next three ordinances we're actually going to table because we're still working with the other parties. Attorney,
Right.
Can you remind me, we're going to introduce it first and then table it?
No, I think that you should table them because the agreements have not been finalized so that people don't have the opportunity to table each of them separately.
Okay.
Motion to table.
Motion to table. Thanks, Chris. Motion to table ordinance 2020-036.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Motion to table ordinance 2020-037.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Motion to table ordinance 2020-038.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, on to ordinance 2020-039, amending chapter 244 for noise. Motion to open the public hearing.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry. Yes. Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Open for public hearing. Just like it sounds, we're amending the code or the section around the code on Parks and Rec regarding noise. No excessive noise at any of the parks. Any public comments on that ordinance specifically?
Hi. Mary
Mary.
Murdoch, New Jersey Street. You say excessive noise. I understand that. Will there be like a reading of a decibel? So a certain level that would then, I know, but it's just something to, ask because one person's noise compared to somebody else's noise, is there a way to delineate that?
The noise can't go across a boundary of a property.
Well, in this specific ordinance, we specify that it is the up to the police officer on duty to make that determination, so that the public official who is there has the ability to use their judgment to say that's too loud.
Excessive noise.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, that's we don't have a specific set of number of decibels, or we don't.
It can't be disturbing to neighboring properties.
Well, I understand that, but like I said, one person's noise may not be another person's noise. Whereas if you have a set decibel range saying it can't be above this decibel, that would help out.
Yeah, but the decibel reading is taken at a certain distance from the source of the noise. So the decibel reading is going to degrade as you move away from the source. So again, like if your neighbor was having a party and the noise was loud on your property, it's not going to be any kind of over a decibel reading of say 80 decibels, which is kind of a standard for a noise that's considered loud, right? There's no way that it could be that loud at your property, yet it could still be annoying to you. So if you were to call to make a complaint, an officer would show up and stand in your property and say, yes, that noise is loud. I can see how it's disturbing you.
Mary, if you actually hear noise from Lake Solitude, it's too loud.
Michelle, thank you for that. I will definitely let you know.
Okay, thanks. Any other public comments or thoughts on that ordinance?
I'm going to start opening up the phones. All right, 8821. Okay. 2464. Okay. 4809. Okay. Hold on one second. 6564.
None.
Pablo.
Hey guys, I'm sorry to just keep talking in this meeting. Just a quick comment on the noise ordinance, and just to clarify, because I know that there are a number of events and activities that we do in the parks that involve music, concerts, and whatnot, including community day. So just clarifying, how does that fit into this new ordinance?
Those would be town events that have approval. Mm-hmm. And so, Community Day, as an example, is something that the Borough Council has the opportunity to think about and approve having the concert there.
With the timelines specified and
right.
Start time and stop times.
Yeah. And the same would be true of other events. If someone wants to have their wedding and asks and goes through the proper procedures and says they're going to have a band and the council approves it, then that would be approved. It would be an approved event. It should be okay. I mean, and it isn't just noise that reaches onto another property. If there are two people sitting at picnic tables a little ways away from each other, and one complains about the other, and the police arrive, that the judgment will be there to say you guys are being a little too loud, even though none of the local property owners can hear you. So,
right.
The objective was to give the leeway to the officer who arrives and can actually see the situation in person.
Okay, you good, Pablo?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right, I believe that is all hands.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2020-039.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Roll call. Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-039.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay.
Ordinance 2020-040, amend chapter 184 vehicles and traffic. And motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2020-040.
Move.
Second.
Holcomb.
Columbus.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
So this all, Bonnie, or Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but this really kind of puts a limit on the number of the cars that can park behind by the Tisco building and, and at Lake Solitude area. Is that correct? Or am I
Well, and also we wanted to kind of strengthen the language regarding safety lanes and aspects of that. So yes, once again, we're strengthening and specifying some of the details of where people are and are not allowed to park, and making sure nothing conflicts with each other. None of the
So we know where the designated parking areas are, as opposed to having to cite where the undesignated areas are.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, there's two ways to do these. Tell where you can't or tell where you can, and in this case, we're telling where you can.
Anybody from the public?
All right, I'm going to start opening the phones here. 8821, any comments?
No.
2464, any comments? 4809, any comments?
Adam, it's me, Sally.
Hello.
Hey, Sally.
Yeah. Yo, hey. Oh, hallelujah. I got through. I hate this new phone, but I'm learning it. Anyway, about this parking thing, I think what you're doing is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because by eliminating spaces, you're being able to count who can come in. And the number of people who can come in down to the falls is really important to being able to make it a safe space, which is a place that I absolutely adore and have for the past 25 years, and now am only allowed to walk by, and that's okay. My great blue heron and the eagles still say hi when I go by. I'm good for that. But just saying thank you for your good works and the concerted effort to make it a safe space for everybody in town and out of town. Just saying, thank you.
Thanks, Sally.
Thanks, Sally.
Thank you.
And 6564.
No.
I think I'm missing one here. Hold on. 2464. Okay, I believe we're through those, and I have a hand up from Mary Ann.
Yes, hi. I'm Mary Ann Borer. I live at 14 Stillwell Road. And I would like to know, how many cars are you allowing to park at the Tisco parking lot? And how many cars can park at the Solitude parking lot?
Right now, we're not allowing any.
Yeah.
No,
I believe like 50 spaces at Tisco and
15.
10
15.
or 9?
15.
9? Oh,
15.
15 at Lake Solitude.
Okay.
How many at Tisco, Bonnie?
I'm not sure. I think 50.
Yeah, I think it was 50 and 15, yeah.
Okay, so 50 parking on the grass.
Yes.
Where will they be parking?
On the grass.
Well, and that's what we were,
Okay.
what we tried on the weekend prior to closing it. And we have not allowed any since it's been closed. But that's what we were trying. 50 and 15, I guess.
And to be honest, we're not even sure how we're going to enforce that once we're able to open it again. There are there's some staffing challenges around that. So that's kind of why we're, dragging our feet somewhat or asking permission to keep the park closed a little longer, just because we're really not sure how we can man that area if we open and we get the same kind of activity that we saw, last month. So that's one of the issues right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Nicole Poco. that working, Nicole?
On mute.
I keep hitting ask to unmute, but I don't see anything occurring. I'm clicking. There we go.
Trying
Hi,
to unmute myself. Can you guys hear me?
There we go. Hi, Nicole.
Okay, I can't hear you. So I'll just say what I was going to say really quickly. I just wanted to mention that parking at the Tisco building, when we were looking at dog park sites, we were looking at that Tisco area. And from what I recall, underneath that grass is all an old parking lot. It's all pavement. So if it does become some kind of issue with like the erosion of the lawn area, I think that maybe we can explore the fact that there's a parking lot directly underneath all of that grass. So I'm going to just unmute myself or mute myself because I can't hear anything right now.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that actually. Thank you.
There's things hidden under the ground all over the place around here.
True.
Okay, I believe that is all the hands.
Okay, motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2020-040.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance 2020-040.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Okay, introduction of ordinances. Ordinance 2020-041, bond ordinance to amend ordinance 2019-017, various water utility improvements. Motion to introduce.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-041 shall be published in its entirety in the Express Times and or the Hunterdon County Democrat, along with the public hearing date of September 24th, 2020. Ordinance 2020-042, amending ordinance 2014-19 to confirm properties not affected by vacation of portions of streets. Motion to introduce.
Move.
Second.
Ordinance 2020-042 shall be published.
I do have to do a roll call, Mayor.
Oh, roll call, sorry.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-042 shall be published in its entirety in the Express Times and or the Hunterdon County Democrat, along with the public hearing date September 10th, 2020. Onto the consent agenda. Anybody have anything to pull?
I actually wanted to pull for discussion the thing I mentioned a moment ago, the relating to the coolers and such, which is number, hold on.
180.
180, is it?
Mhm.
180, yes. Sorry, I clicked to the wrong tab here. Okay, 180.
I would like to pull for discussion 182.
182, okay.
Okay, who wants to go first?
You want to do the consent agenda first or no? Okay.
Not first? Okay.
Either way.
Well, let's talk about them first, because if they're just going to stay in, we can leave them in, or is that appropriate?
Well, probably, since people have asked to discuss a consent agenda, really shouldn't have individual discussion. That's the whole purpose of consent agenda. So maybe a motion to pull those two resolutions from the consent agenda, vote on the rest of the consent agenda, and then you can discuss those two resolutions separately.
Okay. Motion to pull Resolution 180 and Resolution 182 from the consent agenda.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
And then a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda that's still standing.
Motion to approve resolution 179 through resolution 199 with the exception of 180, 120, 182 on the consent agenda.
I believe it goes up, just for clarification, that's up to 191.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, and I had Hughes, and who was my second?
Second.
Hey. Okay, Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
And Zappa.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So are we ready there? Or?
Yes, for 180.
Or 180. So I'll go first. 180. As I said earlier, as I've thought about this since the addition of this item, number 33 in disorderly conduct, possess or transport coolers or ice chests on any borough property without first being granted borough approval. As I think more and more about that, now I know that this is a temporary, I feel this is a temporary situation, and I'm trying to think long term, and I'm looking at things like Huskies football or soccer or other events or activities going on where people might want a cooler with cold water in it, or ice packs, or a picnic that someone is going to have with food in it and doesn't want it to go bad on a hot day. Ice pops at a birthday party, at a picnic in the Commons, for example. I guess I feel like this is a little, it goes beyond our objective, which is to reduce, I think, picnicking and stuff happening. We're thinking in terms of along the falls and the river and things like that. I don't know. I feel like I would like to see the wording altered to maybe take those other things into account, possibly. Maybe only in picnicking areas, or I don't know. I like I said, I'm just thinking, I'm concerned long term about how this might affect unintended things.
Stephen, would your problem be cured if maybe you had, with regard to that issue, except for borough-sanctioned events or something like that?
Well, except that, like I said, a family having a picnic at a picnic table that wants ice pops isn't a borough-sanctioned event. Someone who goes down to have a pickup baseball game and brings some ice packs in a cooler isn't borough-sanctioned event either. I'm just thinking of some of those peripheral situations where it is very legitimate to have a small insulated container for food or water or ice or whatever.
If I may, Steve, this is being done by resolution, so technically it will expire at the end of this year. We did not put it in the ordinance format yet, so if you want, we could just let this remain for this year and then address it again at a later time.
And of course, you also could pass a subsequent resolution if you come up with a solution to solve your issue. So the latest, as Bonnie said, this would continue to be the end of the year, but you could also change it before the end of the year if you want to.
Barry, question: could we specify a size of a cooler, because this has come up before?
Yes, the answer is yes, Mayor. You can.
Okay, so that's something we can definitely work with during future Parks and Rec meetings as we try to clarify some of these things.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to look ahead and let's plan on looking at this language more carefully in the future, so that by the time it either needs to be re-upped on January 1st or maybe sooner, maybe we have some language that is a little better. Like I said, it's good, but I just feel like maybe there's things that it's overreaching. So
would it be in our best interest to add that language, Barry, for municipal or sanctioned events to allow that at this point in time?
I don't know. I'm not sure I have language quickly coming out of my head right now, but
I don't think that's a bad idea at all.
So just one thing to put in is that there are other approvals via permit, which would actually allow for this also. So we should just make sure that's included if we do choose to have specific language put in.
What about like the baseball season that's going on? And,
That's approved via field permit.
Okay, just making sure everyone's covered there.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm happy with it if we approve it and then we look ahead to trying to just look for some of these exceptions and try to figure out ways to alter the language in the future. That's fine with me.
Barry, can we be park specific? For instance, like Union Forge, we have sporting events. We don't have sporting events really at Commons or Lake Solitude.
Yes, you can, Mayor.
Okay, so great. We can work with all of this.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Michelle.
Yeah, try to come up with something, before the end of the year and adjust it. Makes sense.
Are we okay then with leaving it in for now? Because I think the only events we really need to worry about from now till the end of the year would be borough sanctioned events.
Oh, right.
Soccer,
Yeah, well, I mean, it just needs to be voted on.
Right. No, of course, yeah.
And to alter the language of 33, what does that set us back another month? Or can that be approved tonight?
What's that?
Well, we can approve it tonight and then alter it next month if we want. I mean,
Can it be altered specifically just to say, Solitude Dam right now?
once again, I have no terrible resistance to it going in there right now, but I do think I want to have us start putting our brains on amending it in the future, maybe next month or next 2 months, once we come up with what we really wanted to say. But I don't want to rush it tonight. So if we put it in, that's fine. It's not going to be there forever.
Between now in September, if we come up with some other ideas, let's put it back on.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Motion to adopt 180 now, I hear?
Motion to adopt 180.
Okay.
Move.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay. Columbus.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Strange.
Yes.
Staff.
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution 182, Chris.
Resolution 182 is to paint 4 more fire hydrants on Main Street as gnomes, and the approval to do that. I know that we've discussed this before in the past. I don't really remember. I know that we granted 1 gnome or 1 fire hydrant to be painted. We got an okay from the fire chief and from also our fire inspector or fire marshal, I should say. However, I know council, we kind of discussed this, and I don't remember where we left off because I thought what we came up with was the idea that we were going to be a little bit more, not just all gnomes. I thought we had other ideas that we tossed around, and this resolution just kind of got tossed on to the end of or during the day today. And I thought maybe that council should discuss it more before we just give the go-ahead to paint 4 more hydrants as gnomes. I know there was ideas to paint some patriotic at some point.
Yeah, I think it was added before today, Chris. It was part of the agenda. I'm just saying.
Okay. All right. I saw an email.
We had it as a placekeeper on the agenda because we didn't have Rick's final word until earlier today.
Okay.
On the specifics.
Right,
but I remember too, Chris, having a discussion and that we were saying not necessarily all gnomes for the trail because that was how gnomes were going down the trail, but to have other options, and we were going to look into that.
Have we also, I assume, I could be wrong, but I assume we've gotten those property owners' approval. I remember when we did this previously, we had to get the property owners' approval who happened to have the gnome in their yard. I assume we've already done that for these, or I don't know.
I don't.
Definitely has done that. I know the only one that was question was the one in front of the funeral home, which she was going to do a little bit differently, not quite as gnomish, if you will, something a little bit more appropriate for the location there. But I do know she specifically told me that she got that permission.
Okay. I mean, I assumed it had been, but I just figured I'd ask. I mean, I kind of like the idea of having other options as well, having people be able, if someone has something that's not a gnome, I don't know, maybe a troll or a fairy, or I don't know. No, but if it's something different, we've now eliminated that option maybe. So, I mean,
I'm seeing some drawings around, and listen, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I'm just saying that this has been a matter that has been discussed many times over the years. We all know Christina's kind of passionate about it, and we're looking to start with these ones on Main Street. I think there is a desire for many people to see a little bit more creativity around, artistic stuff around the borough. And there's other fire hydrants that have been targeted that they're not ready to move forward with, that we can talk about, or, I presented it to Lynn and the members of our green team and creative team to kind of get some thoughts around some of the other fire hydrants in town and
right.
Well, I think it's also again, personally, I was in a town where there was fire hydrants painted like a bunch of different flags, country flags that looked really cool. I thought that was a cool idea. And I just thought of making it a little bit bigger selection of items that they were painted as. They could be, there's animals. You could paint them as animals. They could be painted as flags. I think we're just kind of pigeonholing ourselves here and making them all gnomes. I don't really like the idea of all the fire hydrants on Main Street being gnomes.
I don't either. We could have our eagles and our herons and the things that we're known for.
I think that was Christina's thought too, when I at least spoke with her, is that this could be something more of an engaging long-term project, not only with the green team, but also with some teenagers that express some interest in maintaining them, because you can't just paint them once. I grew up during the 1776 celebration in Scotch Plains. Every single fire hydrant was a little Minuteman, and it was really kind of cool. Yeah, but they didn't stay that way forever.
Maybe you can have a contest in the high school. For them could be student artwork.
Right. Does this resolution specify gnomes?
Yeah, it does.
But once again,
it says gnomes.
That's what I thought.
Again, I don't want to go out and paint any fire hydrants myself. If some people are doing it and you want to paint gnomes, I don't have any problem with that. Go for it. And I think the mayor is right. We can always repaint them next year as different things. We can do it every year and do different stuff every year. It's going to get
a different theme every year would be a great idea.
It could be anything. So I say let's go for it, and then go for it, and in the future we can always change it if we want.
I agree.
So
this says it says something about last 5 years. Is that just a resolution?
So Christina, who's again spearheading this project, has agreed to take care of the fire hydrants for 5 years.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily state that that's the way it has to be painted for 5 years.
It doesn't specify that, no.
And she definitely wants more volunteers to assist her with this project, because she is, again, very passionate about it. And I do think it's a nice idea for the borough. It doesn't all have to be gnomes, but we can at least agree to,
Can we scratch the gnomes from the resolution?
You can, if you want to, you can amend the resolution to eliminate gnomes. I will tell you that the way that it's presently written, I think it could be fairly interpreted that it would be gnomes on the fire hydrants for 5 years.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so how about we say how do we phrase it so it's more generic, Barry? That we can
Certainly,
do.
You could just eliminate the word "as gnomes" in the very first sentence. So that's just, would say that fire hydrants, the painting of the fire hydrants.
How about the creative the creative painting of fire hydrants was submitted. Just put creative painting and eliminate as gnomes.
Does this say the creative team will be in charge of that since we have
No.
a creative team now?
Can we add that too?
I would like to.
You could add that to the resolution
Because
before
then,
it's voted
then you
on.
have a committee that's working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I like that.
we certainly could. On the other hand, we have someone that has put a whole lot of effort into wanting to do this for a number of years, and taking that and saying we're going to now assign a committee to make the decisions. And
No, I don't think to make the decision, but to work with.
Work with her. She can be part of that.
Exclude
May, may I suggest, Mayor?
Oh, yeah, absolutely not.
I just want to make sure we're clear. I don't think that was anyone's intent, but I just.
May I suggest, Mayor, that this resolution, hearing this discussion, be amended to, or if you want to go forward with gnomes for the first painting of these 4 fire hydrants, fine. But that any repainting of the fire hydrants, the design of the the repainting has to be approved by the council, just like the designs were submitted for these 4 fire hydrants now. I think that it may make sense for you to retain control of what is painted and repainted in the future.
Yeah, and if that could come through our creative team, even better, because we're looking to get this group up and running officially, finally, and this is a great first project. And I have spoken with Christina. I think she'd welcome that idea with open arms.
So maybe it would make sense at this point, since I'm hearing a lot of possible amendments to this resolution, to adjourn it, maybe rewrite it a little bit, so that you have more control, comes through the creative, maybe a recommendation comes from the creative committee for your approval, anytime it's repainted in the future.
Okay.
And then pass it at your next meeting, as amended.
That's fair.
Sounds
Anything
good.
else? I mean, I think that's pretty fair.
It
Great.
sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a motion to table the resolution, I think, would make sense.
Resolution 182-2020.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Strange,
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Can I simply say I really want to vote to approve this or not at the next meeting, because the last time we did this, I think it took 10 meetings or 12 meetings where we discussed this before we finally approved it. So I just want to, either way.
Dave, I'll work with the mayor on formatting the next agenda.
I don't want to talk about this for 10 meetings in a row.
Okay, let's move on to council committee assignments. First up, Councilman Zappa.
Thank you, Mayor. So finally, next week, we should be starting our streetscape project in town, and it's going to be going through to the fall. There may be some traffic interruptions on Main Street while it's going on, so this is going to include new sidewalks. Now, this is phase 2 of the streetscape, which the limits pick up somewhere right around Riverside Liquors in that area and go up to the end up by the Commons. The new sidewalks, just like the sidewalks that are on the other half of Main Street, new curbing and new lights. There'll be new crosswalks put in. We are also going to be straightening the entrance to the Commons, which is currently on a little bit of an angle. So when you pull out of the Commons, you're at a little bit of an odd angle and it's hard to see down the street, see what's coming. So we're going to straighten that out, and we're going to add a walkway alongside the driveway of the Commons that will then allow us to have a crosswalk right at the Commons. Because really right now you're not supposed to cross there. You're supposed to walk down the street to the first crosswalk and then cross over to get to the Columbia Trail. So watch for that. It'll be happening soon. DPW is still picking up some brush from the storm that we had a couple weeks ago. So they're doing a couple more rounds around town. They're almost done. They asked me to read this. They said to make sure that when you put brush out, make sure the butt ends are facing towards the street. No brush bigger than 4 inches round. Brush piles should be less than 4 foot cubed. Brush should not be placed on the street or over any catch basin. Leaves and other debris shall not be mixed in with the brush. Piles will be left if other debris mixed in: wood, garbage, plastic, root balls, green bamboo. Dry bamboo is okay, green bamboo is not okay. Potted plants, bushes. If a pile is not collected, you will be notified as to the reason why it was not collected. So that's, they're also still collecting the brush and leaf bags. They collect them on Tuesdays and Thursday mornings. If you put them out, they're steadily picking up about 40, 50, 60 bags a week. We have a few vehicles that are in for repair and some equipment that's in for repair. Our loader is currently out of service we're waiting on some estimates. Backhoe that we own, we're going to have some work done in this fall. Vehicles will be starting their annual service soon. The New Street lift station, which is a sewage pumping station, we're waiting on some parts to fix that. And the new chipper is being worked on. We needed service after they started chipping up some of the brush from the storm. During the storm, we had 9 trees come down. They cleared catch basins in preparation for the storm, or just before the storm had it, and to date since then they've also rebuilt 3 catch basins. They've done pothole repairs, trimmed trees back. This is all during the last month. For Parks and Rec, DPW and concern with Parks and Recs, grass continues to be mowed on a weekly basis. The new signs have been ordered for Lake Solitude, for Union Forge and the Commons. Most of the dirt has been removed from the Commons. There were 3 20-yard dumpsters of blacktop removed, 1 container of concrete removed. There are still 2 containers up there that need to be filled and taken away. And we're working on a stormwater management plan for the new recycling facility I'm doing. That is my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Hughes.
The Environmental Commission was able to hold several of their events with social distancing. The document shredding was back in June. 87 cars came through with a collection of 3.75 tons of shredded paper. And that translates to 63 trees being saved, 1,425 gallons of oil saved, 26,000 gallons of water saved, and 11.25 cubic yards of landfill saved. So way to go, Highbridge, for recycling. We also did our electronics recycling event back in July, and 248 cars came through. We collected 65 Freon items and a total of 19,000 pounds of electronics. And the Environmental Commission also, at our meeting this past week, worked on verbiage for a sign to place over at Solitude to explain the environmental importance of this area, and that we're hoping to use our Clean Communities grant money to purchase that sign. So it'll be over there with other rules and areas that you're designating, but it'll just be a sign that says why this area is so important to us. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilwoman Moore.
Hi. The tax rate for 2020 was set at $4.10. This is 3 cents lower than the 2019 rate. That means for the average homeowner, this equals a $70 decrease in the taxes for the year. The final tax bills will be mailed out at the end of this month. The 4th quarter payment will reflect the reduced amount for the year. The annual audit report was completed and accepted this evening by council. There was no recommendations listed in the report. Fund balances were in each of the funds. Fund balances were up in each of the funds except for solid waste. The 2019 collection rate for taxes was at 98.71%, up from 98.28% in 2018. As of today, we have collected approximately 90% of the third quarter taxes, which is very good. Considering everything. And overall net debt is currently at 2.681%. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Councilman Strange.
I will try to be brief. I will say the fire department responded to 39 alarms in July. So far this year, 3,000 hours of volunteer time that they've put in. They've spent a lot of time recently doing equipment testing. Their hoses, pumps, the regular ladders that that go on the ground, breathing apparatus, and their ladder truck. Everything passed, of course. And they're doing their golf outing September 18th, which is one of their fundraisers for the year. So if you have any interest in going on a golf outing, keep that on your calendar. You saw, people may have noticed, the lease agreements and other aspects of the EMS transition. Maybe you've also seen some South Branch Emergency Services trucks driving about. The trucks have been rebranded. And so our emergency squad, it's the same people. They're providing us with the same service, although we're hammering out those details. But the trucks now have that new look, and they're transitioning over to the new organization combined with Clinton and others there. So it's going along. It's a little bit slower than was originally intended, I think, but it's to be expected with all of the craziness. The police department, I'm not going to go through all the little details there of that. I'm just going to say that after our last council meeting, I had made a point of, staying in touch. How are things going in terms of the dam at Lake Solitude? And was down there the Sunday after our previous council meeting, and half of our police force was there all day, more than half, because we had 3 police officers in various places and the chief driving around, all, once again, all doing their best to work with the people that were there to try to protect our area and keep people safe. And I have to say they were doing a good job on a very, very hot, tiring day. Unfortunately, it was too much. And so we had to, of course, close the parks, as we've discussed in great detail. So I'm not going to go into that. But I just wanted to say they've done a very good job. Recreation, we've got many of our ordinance changes that we've been working on for a long time. A lot of the discussions lately, I unfortunately I missed the most recent meeting. We had a secondary meeting prior to this, and I'm very sorry I missed that. I was able to speak to some of the other people who were there. Most of the discussions lately have centered around trying to come up with how to deal with sudden crowds of people and what can we do. And so we haven't come up with any great ideas that solve all the problems, but as I think we've said, we've been trying to come up with things that will help make it better, and hopefully we can continue to do that. This is happening all over the place. This is not just a High Bridge issue. You may have noticed that Voorhees State Park, they've now shifted staff to other parks that have more need of staff, and so that park is closed temporarily. That's not a High Bridge thing. That's a state park, but it's not something that happens very often. Things like this are happening in a variety of places, and we're all trying to deal with them. The last thing I'll say about recreation, I've asked, and I don't have a solid answer yet on hybrid youth soccer or the other activities which typically go on at our parks in the fall, as to whether or not those seasons are happening or in what way they're happening. But I've also spoken to Rick Roll at DPW, and if there is a reduced season or any opportunity, he plans to be ready to take advantage of that empty field to do more work on our fields and our parks this fall, overseeding and other work to improve them. I know we've been working on that for a few years, trying to improve the grass, the turf. They get hammered every season, and that might be a small, tiny silver lining. maybe we can do some repairs on our parks this fall if the seasons are reduced. So we're looking ahead to that possibility. Last but not least, once again, the trail maps have been going. There's little trail brochures up there by the trail, and people have been grabbing them like hotcakes. So we now have a QR code up there so people can scan and get a trail map on their phone. And we'll see how that goes. And maybe we'll begin to put more of those around town for various things so that people can go to maybe the Solitude Dam and scan a QR code and hear information about the dam or so that if this works, it may be something we can do all around town, not just for trail maps. I believe that is everything I got.
Can you forward those PDFs for the trail maps, or I don't know?
They are all on the website. Adam has them up there for printing, and awesome. Adam gave me the QR codes to put up so that I put them at the kiosk to see if people would scan them and not take one and maybe look at it on their phone.
Awesome, that's great. I'll have to go check them out. I didn't notice that. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
Councilwoman Ferry.
Okay. The website committee is working on a draft of a social media policy to streamline how we manage the various borough social media pages. So that'll be probably coming up in our next council meeting. The events committee, we have 2 events for this year. Unfortunately, of course, as you all know, most of the events were canceled. We will have a virtual paint out held at the golf course on October 4th. And thank you to Councilman Columbus for arranging that for us. And that will really, and I don't know if many of you have been to the paint out. It's an awesome event. It's a paint out where a lot of the artists come and paint different scenes around Highbridge. And it's an exciting event in person, and I'm sure it'll be just as exciting online. And it's really a fundraiser that it's the one event that really brings back a lot of money to support and sustain the events throughout the year. So we're hoping for a great turnout for that because our businesses that support us were hurt this year because of COVID. Unfortunately, our sponsorship is down, and we'd like to get back up and running so we can support them in the coming year. Also, Halloween, we're having a house decorating contest on October 31st. So more information on both of these events will be posted to the borough website soon. The historical committee, they've been busy working up a list of a lot of things that need to be done around the Solitude House property because of all of the pedestrian traffic that we had coming through from the parking lot that was set up on Tisco onto crosses over onto the property and then down to the falls. The committee came up with a long list of items that we've needed to do over the years, but it was a great opportunity to really look at it much closer. I'd like to thank our committee members for working hard on that list and having an extra meeting to do that. And also Kelly Matos and Priscilla Rocky for coming out in the heat and doing some nice cleanup around the annex, fixing the gate and other things around that needed immediate attention. As far as the Springside Committee, which is an ad hoc committee working on preserving the house that's on the property, after a few volunteer sessions, the building is now tarped. Thanks for Mike Bronski for leading the committee and leading this effort, our first phase of the project that we're working on, and a lot more coming down the pipeline for that. And thank you for the volunteers who came out in a lot of hot weather to help us with that effort. It did make it through the storm, which is awesome. So now the Borough of Highbridge has professional tarpers. And that's my update.
Thanks, Natalie. Councilman Columbus.
Thank you. In golf, these are not the final numbers for July, but the rounds were up 831 to budget. We're still running at 12-minute tee time intervals. The revenue was up roughly 16,000 to budget. Expenses were over about 3,000 to budget. The EBITDA was up about 12,500 to budget. Year-to-date rounds are down about 3,000 to budget, and revenue's down about 29,000 to budget, and the expenses are under about 59,000 to budget. Year-to-date EBITDA is up about 30,000 to budget. August is trending pretty good. We're right now at 142,000. We're forecasting, I should say, 142,000 in revenue on a budget of 140,698. 102,000 in total expenses on a budget of 100,940. 40,000 in EBITDA on a budget of 39,758. Golf's been looking pretty good. It looks like we're gonna, with this adjustment that we've made, it looks like we're gonna come out at budget or ahead of budget. So it's looking good with golf. It's a great time to play golf. So, Michelle, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry. That's great. Even with
okay.
we had earlier this year. So.
Yeah, the adjustments that we made with the tee time intervals and the price adjustments, and it's good that we did that early and caught it quick, and so I'm happy to report that news.
How long was the golf course closed?
Roughly, I believe it was a month and a half. Bonnie, do you have that exact number?
I don't.
Yeah, it was. We missed March, and I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think a portion of April. I have to double check, but we didn't miss a lot. But
yeah, that still sounds pretty good for.
Great.
You did.
Yeah, we missed some time, and it's good to see that. Right now golf's the thing to do. So go sign up. There's a couple projects going on. Well, we just have the netting approved, so that that's for a couple sections on hole 17. That should be done in the next 4 weeks. Looking into a couple of fountain ponds that'll help control the algae and aesthetics for the upper pond. And the lower pond, they're looking to install a bubbler, and that's got heavy algae down there. That's also to support the irrigation system for the golf course. So adding the bubbler and the fountains will help reduce the need for chemicals to control the algae. So it's a good thing. We'll get some prices on that and see if we move forward. Some upcoming events. We have the club championship on August 29th and 30th. It's a 2-day competition for the 2020 title. It's open to all players with all golf abilities. Call the golf shop to register. It's 908-638-5055, extension 0, excuse me. The Sakula Invitational is on Monday, September 14th. That's the annual charity event, which benefits the Jonathan Sakula Memorial Fund. That's at 12:30. It's a shotgun with fun contest prizes, a 4-person scramble format of play. Register online at highbridgehills.com/store. And as Steve mentioned, the Highbridge Fire Department golf outing. It's a fundraising scramble for our hometown heroes. The 2020 golf outings on Friday, September 18th. Registration is at 8 a.m. and golfers will begin at 9 a.m. Breakfast and dinner provided at the course with a light lunch in between. The price is $110 per golfer. Sponsorship and foursome forms are available. Please email golf@highbridgefire.org if you have any questions. That's all for golf. And the EDC is working with the Hunterdon Chamber of Commerce Foundation and HBVA on participating in the economic recovery fund opportunities that recently arose, and working with Google Maps to show entities like we were talking about, landmarks, trails, museum, waterfall, to help show certain points in the area as well as information regarding the hours of operation. So those are my updates for golf and EDC.
Thanks, George.
Thank you.
Bonnie, you're up.
Okay. Well, as you can imagine, we've been spending a substantial amount of time lately on the Lake Solitude situation. We've been working closely with our DPW director, chief of police, and Green Acres, trying to figure out what to do next and make it all work out. Other things we've been working on, our annual tax sale will be scheduled for November 20th. We approved tonight an electronic sale. That'll be for the first time we'll be doing this, and that's in conjunction with the whole COVID-19 precautions we're taking. Continue to work on finalizing the EMS agreements, and of course the resolution to the alleyway issue that we have. We've divided the people involved into 8 groups, and we'll be dealing with one group at a time, hopefully over the course of the rest of the year to resolve that issue. We're continuing to, we're working on reviewing a garbage contract now because that will be up for bid soon. So we're working on bid specs, getting those together, hopefully to go out in September. We need 60 days for that to before we can award a bid. So we want to get that done before the end of the year. Court date has been set for August 19th for the 100 West Main Street violations. Today was actually the first day back to court for in-person live sessions. So depending on how that went, we'll see if the judges want to continue doing that type of court date. And if not, we may end up getting postponed again. So we're waiting to hear on that. And we are now also in the process of beginning PBA contract negotiations. And that's about it.
Thanks, Bonnie. So that was me, but I think most people covered everything that we, I think, for the most part, worked together on all of these matters in the borough. As Bonnie mentioned, we did get some disappointing news regarding 100 West Main Street, so we're back to where we started, and I'm going to be pursuing pretty aggressively this legal matter with the owners there. We had the fun hurricane, which knocked out our power in the borough. I looking at the numbers and around the state, I consider ourselves pretty lucky. I think most of us were up within 2 or 3 days, and with that out, from what I could tell anyway, but not a lot of substantial damage in the borough, so that was nice. Lake Solitude continues to be one of the main focuses, I think, since the early part of July, and it's been pretty much all hands on deck between that. Of course, the COVID matter, that news changes every day, and trying to work with our Economic Development Committee to come up with some creative ideas to continue to support the Main Street businesses. They really need our help. Still open for ideas. Streetscape kind of looks like that's going to screw up with some other thoughts that we had, but it's this crazy balance of wanting to generate support and, have these organized events and then not wanting to have anyone show up because you have to worry about social distancing and masks, and it's kind of an odd time. So we're going to just keep chugging along, and that's all I got. Just a final thought to what Steve was saying, talking about our police department. Late today, we did get a really nice email supporting Chief Bartman and all the guys in the police department for their hard work. And really, I think they did an excellent job controlling the craziness that, occurred early July at Lake Solitude. Certainly nothing I've ever seen since we've been there. With everything that's happening in the world, it really could have gotten crazy, and they did a great job. So I also wanted to commend them. And then that's all I got. So final round of public comments. We still have a number of people on the call, and if somebody wants to raise their hand and has something to add to the discussion, we're all ears.
Okay. I'm going to go for Silverthorne Road. Did that work? Silverthorne Road. I've selected Ask to Unmute. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Brian Scanlon.
Hi, how you doing? Yeah, obviously you remember me speaking at the beginning of the meeting. And at that point, when you started the meeting, I was under the impression that we were going to be talking about that ordinance tonight. And I've been with you guys since before 7:30. You know, I used to be a union vice president, chief negotiator, and all that stuff. I don't miss the bureaucratic meetings whatsoever. But I sat through the whole thing, and it was very nice to get to know a whole lot about what's going on in my town. But I guess the only question I want to have is, at what point am I going to be specifically informed about how, what am I on now? Block 19, lot 43, on how this access road is going to be officially adjourned? Because there's a couple of things, considering the fact that, you know, if you look at the deed, the alleyway continues to my property line. If you look at the tax map, it continues to my property line. If you look at what the borough paved, it stops 40 feet shy of my property line. So at which point there's a piece of the alleyway that was never made, that wasn't paved. It technically traverses town property. So I have a double whammy going on here with what you guys did with the alley that was given to all the residents that butt up against it. I have to traverse that. There's no man's land that you guys have on the tax map, but didn't pave with the other stuff. Ironically, when the road comes up the hill, it was paved to the right and goes up to the one island Krieger Roadhouse up there. However, that's not even on the map. And I'm like, you know, just want to know, at what point will I get a thorough explanation of what's mine, what's my right of way, what's my easement, however we're going to call it, what am I allowed to improve, all sorts of things, because the piece of the property actually goes behind my neighbor's property. I actually traverse what is town's property. And there's debates over all the time over whose access is it? Do I have to ask him to move his car to get in? Do I have to ask him to move his stuff so I can get to my property? So over the time, I'd really just like to know what would be my, whether they're calling an easement or right of way. And I really need that defined as to what is mine, or if it's a chunk of property you're giving me, whatever. But there's, you know, when it comes down to all these alleyways, 79 Fairview Avenue is forgotten about, but I am clearly on the tax map with the alleyway going to my property. However, with this paving that happened in 2006 and the paving that happened in 2019, it doesn't continue to my property. And so then I need to know is, what is that? Is it my right of way? Is it my right of way over borough property? You know, things like that, that question just has to be answered. I'm here 20 years. I tried back in 2006. I tried back when this whole ordinance has happened. And it just seems like anybody, when they're looking at the map, just does not seem to see that this 20-foot alleyway goes all the way to 79 Fairview Avenue. And it's clearly set, at least on my deed, it shows it as a dotted parking area that goes through the alleyway into the parking area of my property. And, you know, just long term, before I finally sell this property, I'd really like to know what that called at. Am I calling it a right of way? Do I get to pave it if it's my right of way over the borough? There's a lot of questions, but I would like to pave my driveway and my parking area. And I don't know, am I able to pave over the town's property to connect it to what the town has already paved? Things like that are just unanswered questions. And I was hoping that tonight's meeting we were discussing that. So I guess if I can just leave with the question that is there a point in the future where the specifics of these ordinances will be discussed? And again, this is the property owner. I mean, Barry, you remember me back when I was never informed last time either, because the town forgets. I am actually thoroughly impacted by this alleyway. You know, whether it's traversing the alleyway, that's going to be the other people. If the other owners give it, I have to be given an easement. I have to be given a right of way to travel across the town property to get to my property. So I'm just hoping that, you know, I know I spoke at the last meeting we had and, you know, notes were taken and whatnot. I know you guys have my information, but, you know, I just want to know when's this going to be, you know, a resolution, because I'd like to move on with maintenance, you know, things like that. And also knowing, you know, what part of it is mine. Is it 12 feet? Is it the 20 feet? Whatever.
So if I can, Mr. Scanlon,
I'd like to just get squared away once and for all, especially striking while the iron's hot, for lack of a better term, you know?
So if I can, the ordinance that we are amending tonight the original ordinance did not have your block and lot in it. So you weren't affected by that originally.
Well, except for the fact that it's, technically you gave away private property, and the only way for me to access my house is to traverse across that private property. Legally, I would have to have that right of way defined, and the town forgot that I travel across that to get to my property.
So the ordinance,
that ordinance never.
I'm sorry, Mr. Scanlon.
Because I have to
stop you there.
I was an impacted property.
I have to stop you. That's the 5 minutes, but let's give the administrator some time.
I will be in touch with you, Mr. Scanlon, to go over this further. But just so you know, the original ordinance is tonight being extinguished, so that
for your properties,
the stretch of land that you're talking about that's been paved has now been returned to an alleyway. So if that helps you any. But I will be in contact with you further so we can resolve this for, to your liking. I think we can figure this out.
I mean, my recollection when we did this in 2000, I think it was 2014, but I could be mistaken on that, was that particular alleyway was not vacated back to the residents specifically because people were landlocked, as they say. And so that was one of a very small number that we did not vacate and give back to people because of that reasoning. So that it remained an alleyway easement or whatever. I mean, whereas others we did give back to the residents. So I mean, that was my understanding. It was one of the ones that was the exception to the vacation ordinances. But hopefully you can clarify very specifically with Mr. Scanlon.
Yeah, I will definitely be in touch with them.
Yeah, Mr. Scanlon, just so you know, before this meeting even started, we saw your email and Bonnie had already reached out to the attorney to make sure this gets resolved for you. So whether it's tomorrow or early next week, Bonnie will be in touch with you.
Okay. Mary Murdoch.
Hello again. So nice to be at a meeting. Haven't been in here for, Lynn, 10 years maybe? Yeah. Even more? Anyway, hi, Barry. So good to see you too.
Hey, Mary, good to see you.
Well, you can't see me, but I can see you. You all look great.
That's okay. I can picture you when I see your name.
Thank you. I like the chat with in regards to painting the fire hydrants. And Mayor Lee, I was in a competition in Clinton in 1976 when we painted all the fire hydrants in town. So I thought that was really cool. Not just open it to the high schoolers, but open it to the residents too, because I think they would really like to participate. I know I would. I'd probably do the old one I had, which was a very patriotic one, but it's something to think about. And I'd like to be put on that committee if possible.
Maybe one's for residents, one's for, a high school, one's for the elementary. I don't know. That's some ideas,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's cool.
So that, like I said, I thought that'd be really great to have something because, people have ideas and would like to do them. And I already have a great idea for mine, and mine's right in front of my house. So, but I just want to thank you for a wonderful council meeting. It was great to see and hear all the wonderful things Highbridge is doing and how we are all working together for the good of all. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Brian.
Pablo Delgado.
Hey guys, thank you again, Adam. Pablo Delgado, 9 Hickory Circle. I just wanted to make a quick comment with regards to the EDC and another update. I wanted to almost have this as a public service announcement to those that listen to this either live now or in recording. One of the things that we have been trying to work on over the summertime with regards to the business in town and the impact that COVID has had on their operations over the last number of months was to have some activity that would potentially help bring a little bit more volume of people in town. And I know that we've been thinking through that for a while. They actually initiated from Michelle Schwartz, who actually brought up the idea back when the outside dining was approved by the state. And I know we've had some issues with a lot of people in town. I know we've been trying to plan around that, and I know now with the most recent update with Streetscape, I think we may encounter issues with moving forward with the idea. So it will likely not happen in a timely manner. So I wanted just to kind of announce to the town people that we need to continue to support the local businesses. We have a thriving downtown because of the work that has been done to make Highbridge a place to invest, a place to come, a place to live. And to the extent that we can continue to support those businesses now in the summer when they do have the ability to do outside dining, it's important that we continue to support them because soon fall is going to come. Other things may come up. And I think they've gone through a tough time already. And I don't know how many of them will be able to survive another shutdown over the winter time. So I want to just to raise awareness to our local businesses and continue to support them because we need them to remain strong into the new year and hopefully weather another potential shutdown as the flu season comes and the winter time comes.
Thanks, Pablo.
All right. Karen Gove.
Hi. I guess Mary kind of stole my thunder, but I wanted to say two things. One, in reference to what Pablo said, as long as Scouts keeps making bacon cheese scones, I think downtown will be doing great. But also I wanted to say that I want to commend you guys that with all this stuff that is going on with the falls, with COVID, with everything that's been going on in town, that you guys put so much time and effort and thought into painting fire hydrants, like to just spread good vibes. And that just made me happy. And I just want to say that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
It was a nice light topic to put on the agenda tonight, that's for sure.
Indeed it was. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Nicole Poco.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole Poco, 56 East Main Street, owner of Scouts. And I'm glad that I'm up next because I feel so much love and support from Pablo and Karen just speaking. And I see all of you nodding. So I just wanted to give a little update about Highbridge Business Association, what's going on Main Street, because we do oddly have a few exciting things happening. The Highbridge Business Association is in the process of renovating our website and our social media channels, and then also renovating our newsletter. And we're going to be using the tag Love Highbridge. And you can find, we've changed the new name from the Highbridge neighborhood to Love Highbridge on both Facebook and Instagram. And I know that there has been so much, I don't want to dip into it too much, but there's been a lot of negativity surrounding Highbridge on social media. But I do want to say for anybody listening and anybody who hear about this meeting out otherwise, these channels are positive messages, and we talk about all of the good things that are happening in Highbridge, any announcements that we have that are about Highbridge. So I do suggest following us along. We talk a lot about the businesses that are in the Business Association, and we're always accepting new businesses, and we would love to have more businesses a part of the organization. So feel free to reach out to me. So what we have going on in September is so exciting. We have actually 3 businesses opening on Main Street. We have Yoga and Bar Haven. They're rebranding and relaunching as the Haven Healing Collective, and Catherine Quinn, along with 2 of her partners, have reshifted their focus because they know that they can't pack yoga classes anymore, and they're going to have boutique hours with products and merchandise. We also have Salty Lemon Apothecary opening on McDonald Street, right across from the post office, and it's a young designer who has been selling her business direct to other businesses for the last few years. So for her, this is going to be a studio space where she'll also be offering products and services, such as workshops when that's allowed. And then we have Mind Over Matter opening right across from Circa, and that's a chiropractor office. They don't have retail, but this is a service that is available to all of Highbridge, and I want to create an event once everybody's up and going and everybody has their feet on the ground, because I want people to know that Highbridge is open for business. And this is something that we keep seeing in other small business groups, saying that their town is open for business. So this is a really exciting turn that our Main Street has taken. And I really hope that people see all of the hard work that the EDC and HBBA and other folks have put into turning our town into this vibrant shopping place. And I kind of want to echo what Pablo said about supporting the businesses in town. I was at the UPS store dropping off a package, and I said, "How's it going here?" And they said that they've been busier than they've ever been. It's like Christmas every week. People are shopping online, and that's okay. I understand why. But if we think of our local businesses first, then I think that there's more than enough for everybody. And I've always said that. There's enough room for all of us to be on Main Street. There's enough room for a little overlap here and there. But we have to think about our local businesses first. So I just want to invite people to check out what's going on Main Street, see what's happening in town. And I want to thank everybody for just showing so much support to the businesses already. And this call alone just makes me feel so supported and heard. And thanks for the shout out on the scones, because they are awesome, and we are. But we do have a lot of exciting things happening, and we're going to head in the right direction. And Mrs. Riley's is going to be rebuilt. And, I think that in a year, it's going to feel so different. And it's just putting one step in front of the other. But it takes the community to show up for us. So I hope that people decide that they want to step foot into our businesses or sit on our porches and, just kind of enjoy our neighbors, talk to each other. I think that's another thing that is happening too much online and not enough, across from 6 feet with masks on. So that's all that I have. So thank you so much for letting me have my piece here.
Nicole, we're going to be selling those bacon scones frozen so we can take them home and cook them for Sunday breakfast.
Yeah, well, we could try and do that.
Okay. I'm still waiting for the rosemary cheddar ones, but that's another day.
Okay, I'm going to start opening up the phones. I have 2464. Anything for public comments? Okay. 4809. Anything for public comments?
Adam.
Hold on. Coming back. Hold on. There we go. Is that Sally?
Yeah, Adam. Hey.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Oh my gosh. It's so good to hear all of you. All right. Here we go. I have made great effort to kind of make notes through the whole meeting. But I'm just gonna do my best here. First, Mayor Michelle, your initial opening statement brought tears to my eyes and gratefulness to my heart. So thank you for being the who that you are and leading us in the gracefulness that you have to do just that. So that said, okay. Okay. Thank you all. Okay. Adam, Bonnie, Council, Attorney Barry. Hi, Barry. I haven't heard from you or seen you in forever. Barry Goodman. It's me, Sally Ward here.
I know, Sally. I miss you.
I miss you too. So just saying, God, so good to hear your voice. I don't see any of you. I'm just doing this by listening, and that's how I do this, because that's all I got. But anyway, it's me here in solitude, and I'm going to read from some notes that I wrote to myself for you all, because that's really the best way that I've found for me to communicate. It's hard for me to go off the ear or like whatever. So here, Sally here in solitude, in kindness, to thank you all of you for persevering with such amazing grace throughout not just this COVID pandemic, but through these moments in time where others from far have sought refuge, sacred refuge in our tiny little borough, in Mother Nature's gifts, which so very many of our residents here take for granted. With whatever compassion any of us can offer forth, I ask of us each the patience we need to move lovingly, to go forward. As we learn to navigate this new territory, it is new territory that this COVID virus thing has now demanded we learn to know as normal. There has always been too often by many a very frequent response in anger. But truly, loving care. Thank you, Mayor, for showing us that. Loving care and patience and compassion are so much more effective. I do pray every morning when I wake up and I see the sun in the dawn. I pray thankfulness that I'm here. But I also pray that we all of us here in Hybridge, that we reach out to each other to offer responses of kindness, loving kindness, and care. Thank you all so very much, so very much for all that you have been offering and continue to offer. It's me, Sally, in solitude. That's it. Adam, you can cut me out.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
You always have
Much love.
Thank you.
Love to y'all. Much love.
Anything else?
That is it.
All right. Legal issues.
Thankfully, I have no lawsuits to report on. And listening to the meeting, I was actually interested in how many different legal issues I'm involved in and all the reports that were given. I'm not going to repeat all of that. It's not necessary. I always leave it to you guys to do it. And, so I have no further legal report.
Thank you. Well, I think we're in good shape, though, no?
You bet we are.
Okay. Excellent. Communications. Adam, just before you speak, I know that we have a number of things on here. I do want to point out two very nice letters that we received from Pat and Ed Bielchik, recognizing some of our employees, including DPW, and both Bonnie and Adam for all their hard work in putting these Zoom meetings together. I know it hasn't been, the last meeting was kind of, a little bit crazy, but you guys are all doing a great job. And just to point those two letters out specifically to everybody. With that, Adam, it's all you.
We have the Elizabethtown gas notification of public hearing, the zoning report, the tax and finance reports, the Lake Solitude reopening plan, and the two resident letters.
Yes, for all 15 people that are left on this call, the Lake Solitude opening plan has some very interesting details of what we're presenting to Green Acres as to why we need this extra time. And, again, I go back to, we really tried to make it work. We really did. We were overwhelmed, and that report kind of lists all the details that you ever wanted to know. So With that, bill list.
And of course, it's the thing I don't have written down. Please allow me one moment to look that up.
You had 2.5 hours.
I totally did, and I was focused on the rest of it. I apologize, Mayor. Just give me just a moment. We'll have that number for you. And of course, we're on the new website, so I'm still learning where things
that
are.
letter too quickly.
The grand total is
Oh, yeah, there we go.
$1,315,035.56.
Great job, Adam. That sounded like Bonnie said it.
Well, I was throwing my voice there. Thank you, Bob.
They speak as one.
Nice. Thank you. Motion to approve the bill list.
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Columbus.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
Zappa.
Yes.
Thank you. And if there is no further business, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move. Second.
I'm sorry, I missed both.
Sorry.
People. Who was my motion?
Me.
Okay, there you go, Leanne. I'll do second.
Okay, thank you. All right, Columbus.
Yes.
Perry.
Yes.
Hughes.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Grange.
Yes.
And Zappa.
Yes.
Great. Next council meeting, September 10th. It still continues to be our goal to try to get together in person. I don't think anyone's looking to do that before we can do it safely and get all of us there and hopefully have some residents participate as well. So, but let's pretend it's going to be at the Firehouse September 10th, 7:30. Be there or be square. Thanks, everybody. I don't have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night, all.